Good evening and welcome to Wednesdays We Are Leeds. Coming up tonight, author Robert Endicott is in the studio with his new book, transfer reaction from the chairman Ken Bates, and Eddie Gray with his thoughts on the season so far. Good evening and welcome to Wednesdays We Are Leeds. So the transfer window shut last night at 6 o'clock. We've had reaction from Thorpe Arch. Now let's get reaction from the Leeds United chairman Ken Bates. I spoke to him first thing this morning.
Lubo's gone to Carlisle. Sheehan has gone to Swindon. We've cancelled his contract, so we signed for them on a permanent basis. We've also taken a bit of a stand on certain things. One of our players is going to go to a South Coast club. We agreed everything, and then an hour before the deadline they came back and tried to reduce their wage contribution by £1,000 a week, so we told them to go forward and multiply and cross them off that list the next time they need a favour. Then, of course, we signed Ramon Nunez, which is a real win, we think, from our point of view. He's a full Honduran international. He's only a youngster, which means we've got yet another international striker. So that we're strong up front. One player, when he goes in, he come to us on a 6-month loan, demanded a 2-year contract, so we told him to bugger off, and came back yesterday and said he'd take the 6-month loan. And I said, no, you won't, because there's no longer an offer. We don't like your attitude, and we don't think you fit into our plans. So what there is coming over is a strengthening of the attitude that clubs are no longer going to be buggered about by agents and players, and what's more important, know their cash limits and will stick to them. And I think that's a good sign. As I said before, most agents look after their players with their players' interest in mind, but there are a few rogues and cowboys about, and I think they'll probably find that their life is coming to an end.
And Chairman, quite close to the deadline, Adam Clayton's loan from Man City was made permanent. Simon said he's a player that you believe can be improved and he can be part of the squad for the future.
Well, he's a youngster. He's coming in on reasonable wage. He's got a reasonable contract from Manchester City. And so, as Simon said, it's an investment for the future. If he doesn't make it, then it's limited loss on investment. But we have great belief that he will make it, and particularly moving from City, where obviously he's very fringe, to become an integral part of the Leeds squad, where again he'll be working more closely with stronger, more experienced players, for which he can only benefit, providing he has the right attitude, which we think he has.
Chairman, I think I'll make that 12 ins during the summer. You must be pleased with the work that's been done.
Well, as I said before, football club is like an iceberg. The fans see it a little bit on the top, but how much work goes on underneath? I mean, I could keep you talking all day about the deals we didn't do, the deals we missed out on, the deals that aren't completed, but that's how it goes. Talking to Simon yesterday, he's very pleased with his squad. He thinks that we could be higher up the league than we are. I'm sure that by the end of September we will be, and things are looking good. And the players' attitude's good as well. In addition to that, Snoddy has now started training. This week he'll be back to proper running. So will Painter. So there's 2 players that we haven't seen since the start of the season. Ben Parker is making good progress. And Paddy Kisnova had a successful operation, so he's out for a long time, we know that, but at least he's now on the road to recovery, where at one time, I must confess, we thought we lost him.
Leeds United chairman Ken Bates with his thoughts on the transfer window. Still to come on We Are Leeds tonight, Eddie Gray on the season so far, and we'll give you details of the next Lorimer's Bar. But first, we have a special guest in the studio. We have to say good evening to author Robert Endicott. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure, thank you, Ben.
Before we come on to your books, your thoughts on the season so far?
Really, really pleased. I think we've started very, very well. We're in the playoffs already, which is a good start, and it started a little bit shakily against Derby, but I thought there was some very good signs there, certainly in attacking play, and I think we've proven it since. 2 great wins, really, really good wins, and I'm very excited and I'm very pleased. It's a good start to the season.
Somebody pointed out to me that Leeds are only in the playoffs alphabetically. That doesn't matter though, does it?
Who cares? Who cares? We're there, that's what counts.
Have the first few games changed expectation of what can be achieved this year?
I think so, yes. Like I said, attacking-wise, we showed some good signs against Derby, and then against Millwall, we played superbly well, I think, throughout the whole 90 minutes, really. Defended well, freak at own goal, not the best of defending, but after that, Millwall hardly got a look in, I thought, and we just attacked them from every sort of angle we could do, and we could have easily won that 6 or 7-1. I genuinely think that. Seen some great football from the new signings, and it's looking really exciting, I'd say.
OK, let's move on to your books. Now, you brought in your new book, which is Disrepute, Revie or Reevie?
Reevie.
Reevie's England.
In my world, it's Reevie here.
Reevie's England. Now, this isn't your first Leeds book?
No, it's my 4th Leeds book specifically, but Disrepute's the sequel to Dirty Leeds. And the first book was called One Northern Soul, the second one's No More Heroes, and then the third is Dirty Leeds, and then the latest one, Disrepute, Reeves England.
So this is a full-time occupation now?
It is, yes, which probably sounds better than it actually is, because it doesn't pay very well and it doesn't pay very often. But yeah, it's I've taken a sort of calculated gamble, and I'm just concentrating on writing full-time as much as I can about not just Leeds but various other projects as well. So yeah, it's a full-time job. It feels double full-time work, but I also love it as well, and it's something that I've wanted to do for many a year. So I'm just trying it and trying to I was going to say live the dream then, which is not the right thing to say, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm really glad I took the leap.
So unlike our former Prime Minister, not all the royalties are going to charity just yet?
I'd like to. I've done plenty of work for charity. In fact, I have worked for charities as well, but no, not yet. I can't afford it like a certain Mr. Blair.
Let's move on to the new book then, Disrepute, Reeves England. Tell us where this came from.
Well, it's Reevy. It's about Don Reeves' time as England manager. He left Leeds in July '74 to take on the England job after Sir Alf Ramsey had been sacked. He'd been sacked a few months before, but so it's really a fictionalised account of Don Reeves' time, along with Les Cocker, his assistant manager. It's about his 3 years in charge of England. Every game I've covered and looked at every player that was considered or chosen or excluded, and I've managed to get hold of some really superb information, such as notorious dossiers that Reevy and Cocker compiled right through the 60s and early 70s. So I managed to get hold of a load of those which have never been seen before, really. Certainly never been published before. And I've worked from various player and match analysis to really just give the story of how difficult it was for Don Reevy, also how mediocre the England setup was in those days. Also, to be honest with you, how many mediocre players we had. A lot of people have criticised Don Reevy for not picking the flair players of the time, you know, the crowd pleasers, etc. But in this book, and thanks to all the reports that I got hold of, the reasons are pretty straightforward, and I've really enjoyed finding out those reasons and also writing about them. It's from the angle of a character in Dirty Leeds called Jimmy O'Rourke, who was hoping to be a player at Leeds in the 60s. Didn't make it, but joined the ground staff. So Dirty Leeds and Disrepute are written from Jimmy O'Rourke's point of view. But the big difference is that this is about Reevy in England, whereas with Dirty Leeds, obviously it's about Leeds and Ellen Road, etc.
How did you work Jimmy into the England setup then?
Cunning ploy. Effectively, I just decided that Jimmy creates a fanzine, a Leeds and England fanzine, specifically focusing on Don Reeves' times. So I wrote about all the England matches and all the criticism that Reevy was getting, and also about all the players and around at the time. So I just really invented this fanzine called Marching On Together, but in the book it's called Mouthing Off Together. So Jimmy just writes from that about his own experiences as well, and about really his own life working down here at Ellen Road, and also obviously certain things that happened in '74 to '77, such as the European Cup final in 1975, so which has been horrible writing about, but nevertheless it's important to Don Reevy and to Leeds United. I wanted to write a drama but make it completely believable. I didn't want to write about the myths and the allegations and the accusations. I wanted to write the true story about Don Reeves' time as England manager, and also what happened to Leeds after he left, and also what happened and why did he leave England.
Brian Clough, the best manager England never had. Do you think Don Reevy would have turned the job down if he knew what he knew going into it?
I think that's a good possibility, yes, because he did state that he wanted to go for the European Cup again with Leeds in '74-75, but the England job was just too good to turn down. He must have been having a real nightmare deciding, but I think what probably sealed it for him was that he thought he was leaving Leeds United in good hands. He knew who he wanted to take on the job after him. he did recommend this to the board. It didn't happen, and I damn well know that if he'd have known that the board would appoint Brian Clough, he would not have allowed that. He would have stayed here, definitely. It was a very hard job to take on. I think it was harder than he realised it was going to be.
Well, it seems ironic that Brian Clough came here and was unpopular and nobody wanted him, and Don Revie went to England and he was unpopular and no one wanted him. Like you say, if the status quo had remained, then
yes.
It could have been very different.
Yeah.
Grab the book for us. Let's have a look.
Yeah,
there we go.
There you go.
This is the point of the interview for the big plug. So you've got an event coming up at Waterstones as well?
Yes, Waterstones on Tuesday the 7th September, which is next Tuesday. There's another Leeds book out called The Promised Land, The Reinvention of Leeds United. It's by Anthony Clavane, who's a lifelong Leeds fan. It's not just about Leeds United, his book, it's about his life and also the Jewish community and the history of Leeds as well. It's a brilliant book, and I feel really privileged, I feel honoured to be here now, which sounds a bit naff, but it's true. But anyway, next Tuesday in Leeds, Waterstones, starting at 7 o'clock, we've got an event which is involving me doing a reading from Disrepute, Anthony Clavane doing a reading from The Promised Land, and it's being emceed by none other than David Peace, who probably will be reading from The Damned United as well. And then we're having a questions and answers session, and probably another sort of session afterwards in the pub. But I won't advertise the pub, but it's in Leeds and it's near to Waterstones.
Well, good luck with Disrepute and, of course, Dirty Leeds. Author Robert Endicott, thanks for joining us on We Are Leeds.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Let's get back to the football on the pitch. No game at the weekend, but we are going to be reviewing the season so far over the next couple of days with Leeds legend Eddie Gray, who joined us in the studio on Monday. Here's Eddie with his thoughts on the season so far.
Well, I think Simon and his players can be extremely happy with how they've started. A little bit of a wobble in the first game against Derby County. And after the first 20 minutes at Forest, we got back on the rails, back on track, played well then. A good performance against Millwall. I think it's probably the best performance I've seen at Ellen Road for years. And then you go to Watford, traditionally a tough place to go to, and you win the game. So we've got to be delighted in that top six. And people say it doesn't mean anything at this stage of the season. I don't agree with that. I mean, because if you're in there, you want to stay there. And that's the incentive now for the players. Stay in that top six now. There's no reason why they shouldn't do. Because there's a lot of players at the football club that will be playing with confidence. And that confidence stems for the finish last season, getting promotion. You know, you get into a new season, and once you play against a few sides, and we played against a few sides, Ben, that, you know, are supposed to be going to be up there at the end of the season, especially Forest. And there's nothing to fear. I mean, you look at the games and you think, well, we're as good as them.
Eddie, you've touched on that. Has the standard of the division surprised you so far?
I think it's obviously a lot better, you know, than League One. But I don't think that there's enough sides in there for us to be too concerned. I mean enough good sides. I think we're as good as any side in there. You look at one or two of the sides that are supposed to be going to be up there and they've started badly and they're playing catch up. But we've started well, and I think that will just breed confidence within the camp. I mean, the squad is looking very powerful, very strong, and I think we can just go on for here.
And more from Leeds legend Eddie Gray tomorrow night on We Are Leeds. Don't forget, the next Lorimer's part of the season is this coming Monday at Ellen Road. All gets underway at 7. And Peter's guests from the first team will be Andrew Hughes, Luciano Becchio and Federico Bassoni. If you'd like to book, 0871 334 1992. The event is only for members and food is included on the night. And as always, all the details on the website www.leedsunited.com. Well, that's almost it for tonight's We Are Leeds. We're back tomorrow night with James Stanley, who's going to be up at Thorpe Arch with Simon Grayson and the first team squad. But tonight, from myself and Robert, that is your lot. Thank you and good night.